CLASP was started by attorneys who, because of their previous work in government or in law firms, saw that other interests, whether it was the tobacco companies, the oil companies, were getting very, very good representation. And they felt that other interests, consumers, poor people, needed that kind of representation as well. CLASP sort of, in a way, began much of the public interest movement that we now see today.
We face, I think, unprecedented hardship for low-income families in this country. We have unemployment levels that we haven't seen since the Great Depression. We have a safety net that is in tatters. We have desperation, hunger returning, homelessness increasing. We really have a social catastrophe that's unfolding in our country.
The list of pressing issues for low-income people and families is long and growing longer in today's economy.
The idea that there should be almost 40 million people who are in poverty in this wealthy nation is a travesty. It's simply unacceptable. We need everybody's commitment in this great country to end poverty and to do so as quickly as we possibly can.
The task is to find enlightened policies that you can build broad support among Americans to institute and maintain.
Finding policies that work for low-income families is an overarching issue that needs a comprehensive solution, not a piecemeal answer here or there.
To have CLASP as an organization committed to these set of issues, to provide the kind of work and background and information and data to help us make our case. I can't even begin to describe how valuable that's been.
Of the 750 to 100,000 to 1 million children that we know have been abused and neglected every year for the last decade, we provide absolutely no services to 40% of those children. Nothing.
What we try to do is promote policies that are concrete, are effective, will actually work, and will make a difference to people on the ground.
Clearly it's something on his mind if he was bothered to write 2 front-page articles within a 6-month span of time.
CLASP is a social justice organization that does the tough work of thinking about that at the policy level and does the authentic work of connecting it to the real issues in community.
It's not only a deep recession, but it's broad-based.
They're the national policy experts, and they educate us on that, and it's kind of a give and take thing, I guess. We educate them on what's going on.
We work on child welfare. We try to prevent people from abuse and neglect.
I very, very much support many of the recommendations that have been made by the Center for Law and Social Policy.
I'm so happy that we have organizations like CLASP who really has focused in on welfare policy, and I rely on them in a huge way.
They gave us a place at the table, and they gave us a voice, and they put a face on the population. And the result of that has been the Fostering Connections and Increasing Adoptions Act that was passed in 2008, which they played a huge role in.
There are people in over 20 cities, right, sitting in chairs just like you, looking to go through this process to get into the labor force.
We've been really blessed to, being in a partnership with an organization like CLASP. We have more and more people dropping out of school, and if they drop out of school, that means they're dropping into something, and that usually is not something very positive.
And CLASP is one of the few organizations that does work on trying to keep every young person connected to help them get successfully into adulthood, successfully into the labor market, successfully included in our larger society.
So we work on employment strategies. We work on job training and basic skills and education. We work on access to community colleges and success at community colleges and post-secondary education.
public policy is not the sexiest thing in the world, but I can tell you it is just as valuable as some of the other supports we get, whether they're monetary or otherwise. Without having that understanding, without having the expertise to analyze and to create relationships, there's no way that we would have the momentum that we have currently.
What CLASP does so effectively is brings the voices of people around the country who are working every day to provide services to particularly vulnerable families, brings those voices to Washington and translates those experiences into recommendations for policymakers that they can use to make real change.
20 years ago, I was a senior official in state government, and we relied frequently on the products that CLASP put out, on the advice that we got from CLASP in order to help us make good decisions. So CLASP is one of the few organizations that speaks to state-level administrators, speaks to policymakers, speaks to people at the federal level, and speaks to advocates.
At the White House, definitely appreciate the work that groups like CLASP do in being able to take sometimes a tough question, look at it very carefully, and draw a very thoughtful conclusion about it.
I think people know that they can trust it, that its advice is going to be sound, and that it is going to try to call the shots as it sees them without any inappropriate agenda other than the agenda of helping poor people.
I'm a Republican. I came to respect so much the people that work at CLASP, from the top down.
Both parties rely on tremendously. And even if the other party doesn't rely on that information, they can't run from it because the information is solid, and so it's extremely important and respected on the Hill.
A lot of people in Washington, all they know is what happened in the Capitol building, you know. So organizations like CLASP have a broad reach, and they work with the states. They're often in contact with people at the states, so they can give you that broader view, which is very important in an issue like child care, for example, where the action really is at the state level.
CLASP plays a hugely important role. I think they are fundamental to the work that we're doing right now. I think without their research and without the policy support that they offer us, our work would not be as effective.
We were able to get roughly $1 billion more for Head Start and the Child Care Development Block Grants. I can't begin to tell you how difficult that is. But in the absence of an organization like CLASP, making the case, providing the data and information on how those dollars can make a difference, we never would have succeeded.
So CLASP has a unique role in advancing anti-poverty policy and initiatives that make it a national treasure and an indispensable resource.
CLASP has been particularly creative and imaginative about the range of things that have to happen in order to help folks find a good job, stay in that good job with supports like child care and health care benefits and unemployment benefits, so folks have a toehold into opportunity.
When I get a young person who comes to me with that first paycheck and to show me that check stub, to say, look, I got it, you know, to show me the work I did, and to see the excitement on their face, the spark in their eye.
It is our belief that this human capital investment results immediately in a nation that is far more productive than one that fails to make those investments. So while it helps the family, it helps the nation. And CLASP is focused on both.
I think CLASP has a pivotal role in bringing to bear its strengths in research, analysis, its connections at the state level, at the national level, to forge some of the solutions that will really address entrenched poverty in our country.
There's a lot of satisfaction that we feel that we've been at least one small part of those contributing to the work that CLASP does.
There's been so many people, thousands and thousands of families that have been impacted by the work that CLASP has done that'll never know their names, never really truly understand the work that they've done, but their lives are better for it.
And to think about strengthening the advocacy work.
If I look back at 40 years, what I say is we've been effective, we've been innovative, we've made a difference to real people in real people's lives, and we've put in place policies and ideas that are still vibrant today and that are still essential today and that would not have necessarily been in play without us.